These posts shocked millions of people around the world. They weren't written by an ordinary user, they appeared on the account of Jack Dorsey, the co-founder and CEO of Twitter, one of the most influential figures in the tech industry at the time. At first, many believed Twitter itself had been hacked. But the truth was far stranger. The attackers never broke into Twitter's servers. They never cracked a password. Instead, they exploited something almost everyone carries in their pocket: a tiny SIM card. Why does the SIM card still exist when we are living in a world of facial recognition, wireless charging, cloud storage, and even digital wallets? Phones have become smarter, faster, and thinner than ever before. Some no longer have headphone jacks. Others have removed charging bricks from the box. Even as seemingly irreplaceable things like cash are gradually disappearing with the rise of cards and e-wallets, some decades-old technology has still managed to survive. The SIM card is the prime example, a tiny physical device, easily dropped and lost in the depths of a wallet or bag. What exactly does a SIM card do that modern smartphones still can't replace? And why hasn't it disappeared like so many other pieces of old technology? Today, we're uncovering the real reason this tiny chip continues to connect billions of people around the world, and why its story is far more fascinating than it first appears. Let's get into it right here on Secrets of Simple Things. A SIM card doesn't store your data. Most people think a SIM card is where a phone keeps everything. That was once partly true, but not anymore. Modern smartphones store photos, apps, videos, and most personal data internally or in the cloud. Today's SIM card has a much smaller role, but that role is essential. The name SIM stands for Subscriber Identity Module, a small chip designed to store the information that identifies you as a mobile subscriber. Inside every SIM card is a unique identity, along with encrypted security credentials provided by your mobile carrier. Together, they allow the network to recognize who you are whenever your phone tries to connect, rather than storing your photos, videos, or apps. A SIM card stores the digital information that proves you are an authorized customer. It proves who you are to the network. Every time you make a call, send a text message, or turn on mobile data, your phone communicates with the nearest cellular tower. Before the network allows that connection, it first verifies the identity stored on your SIM card. If the information matches the carrier's records, your phone is granted access within seconds. If it doesn't, the connection is denied. That's why moving your SIM card to another compatible phone usually lets you keep using the same phone number and mobile service. The network recognizes the subscriber, not the phone itself. That simple idea has shaped the way billions of people stay connected for more than 3 decades. But mobile phones didn't always work this way. Before SIM card, your identity wasn't attached to a removable chip, it worked in an unbelievable way. When your phone number was locked. Today, getting a new phone is usually the fun part. You peel off the plastic film, admire the shiny screen for a few seconds, and then comes one tiny step that almost feels too ordinary to notice: moving your SIM card into the new phone. A minute later, your phone number is still there. Your mobile service works as if nothing has changed. Simple, but it wasn't always like that. Back in 1980s, the early days of mobile phones. At first, they were huge and usually installed in cars. Then came Nokia's revolution with the Mobira Cityman in 1987. Therefore, your number also wasn't something you could carry around. It belonged to the phone itself. Buying a new device often meant calling your mobile carrier, waiting for them to activate it, and sometimes even getting an entirely new phone number. Imagine texting everyone you know, "Hey, this is my new number, again." It sounds frustrating today, but for early mobile users, it was simply part of buying a new phone. A tiny card solved a big problem. That all began to change in the early 1990s with the arrival of the SIM card. Instead of storing your subscriber identity inside the phone, engineers placed it on a tiny, removable chip. It doesn't sound revolutionary now, but at the time, it solved a surprisingly annoying problem. Suddenly, your phone number belonged to you, not to whichever phone happened to be in your pocket. Upgrading became easier. Replacing a broken phone became easier. Even borrowing a friend's spare phone in an emergency became possible with nothing more than a quick SIM swap. It's funny, really. One of the biggest improvements in mobile technology wasn't a faster processor or a brighter screen. It was the ability to move something smaller than a postage stamp from one phone to another. More freedom than people realized. The more people used SIM cards, the more they realized how much freedom that tiny chip offered. If you dropped your phone into a swimming pool or the toilet, which probably happened more often than anyone likes to admit, you didn't lose your mobile identity along with it. Just take out the SIM card, place it in another phone, and you were back in business. The same thing happened when people started traveling more. Instead of buying another phone overseas, they could simply purchase a local or tourism SIM card at the airport, avoid expensive roaming fees, and stay connected almost immediately. Most people never stopped to think about these little conveniences. They simply became part of everyday life. And perhaps that's the greatest compliment any invention can receive, when it works so well that people forget it ever solved a problem in the first place. But giving your identity to a tiny removable chip also created a new challenge. How could something so small convince an entire mobile network that you were really you? Every connection begins with one simple question. The moment you turn on mobile data or make a phone call, something happens that most of us never see. Your phone doesn't immediately join the network. Instead, it has to introduce itself first. Imagine walking into a private event. Before you're allowed through the door, someone checks your invitation to make sure you belong there. Mobile networks do something remarkably similar. Every time your phone connects, the network asks a simple question: who are you? That question is answered by your SIM card. Hidden inside the tiny chip is a unique subscriber identity and a set of encrypted security credentials that only your mobile carrier can verify. It all happens in the background, usually in less than a second, long before you notice the signal bars appear at the top of your screen. A secret handshake you never notice. The process is a bit like a secret handshake. Your phone sends information from the SIM card to the nearest cell tower. The network checks that information against its own secure database. You never see this conversation, but it happens every time your phone reconnects to the network, whether you've just restarted your device, switched airplane mode on and off, or driven into a new city where your phone connects to a different tower. It's one of the fastest conversations your phone ever has, and yet it quietly decides whether you can make a call, send a message, or use mobile data at all. Why stealing a SIM can be so dangerous. That tiny digital identity is also the reason SIM cards have become targets for criminals. Remember Jack Dorsey's hacked Twitter account from the beginning of this story? The attackers didn't need to break into Twitter's systems. They simply convinced a mobile carrier to transfer Dorsey's phone number to another SIM card, a technique known as SIM swapping. Once that happened, text messages and verification codes meant for Dorsey's phone were sent to the attackers instead. To online services, it looked as though the real owner had simply inserted his SIM card into another device. The technology itself wasn't broken. It did exactly what it was designed to do. The weakness came from tricking a person into handing that identity over. eSIM exists. Why keep physical SIM cards? With smartphones becoming more advanced every year, it's easy to assume that the physical SIM card is simply outdated. Years ago, eSIMs were established. Standing for embedded SIMs, they don't need a tiny plastic card or even a SIM tray. You can activate them by scanning a QR code, and on paper, that sounds like the future. So why hasn't everyone switched? The simple answer is that newer doesn't always mean better for every situation. Sometimes simplicity wins. Think about what happens when your phone suddenly stops working. Maybe you dropped it on the sidewalk. Maybe it refused to turn on after taking an unexpected swim in the pool. Whatever the reason, you borrow another phone, remove your SIM card, slide it into the new device, and within a minute you're connected again. There's no app to download, no account to recover, no activation code to wait for. It's such a simple process that most people never stop to appreciate it until they actually need it. With an eSIM, the experience can still be quick, but it often depends on your carrier's activation system. In many countries, that process is seamless. In others, it may involve scanning QR codes, contacting customer support, or waiting for a new activation profile. Just less visible, SIM card is quietly evolving. For a piece of technology that's more than 30 years old, the SIM card has adapted surprisingly well. You can still find it inside billions of smartphones around the world, but it's no longer limited to phones. Today, SIM technology also keeps smartwatches connected, powers cellular tablets, tracks delivery trucks, monitors shipping containers, and even helps some modern cars stay online. Most people never see any of this happening. The SIM card isn't the feature companies advertise, and it's certainly not the reason people buy a new device. Yet behind the scenes, it quietly keeps millions of everyday connections alive. Sometimes the technologies we depend on most are the ones we notice the least. So, why the SIM card still matters? For something so small, the SIM card has had an extraordinary impact on the way we communicate. It gave people the freedom to move between phones without losing their identity. It made mobile networks more secure. It helped connect travelers, families, businesses, and eventually an entire world that now expects to be online almost everywhere. One day, the little plastic card may disappear completely. In some countries, that future has already begun, but the need it solved hasn't gone away. Every mobile device still needs a trusted way to prove who it is before joining a network. Whether that identity lives on a removable SIM card, an eSIM, or a technology that hasn't been invented yet, the idea will remain the same. Maybe that's why the SIM card has survived for so long. It wasn't designed to impress anyone. It was designed to solve a problem, and it solved that problem remarkably well. Sometimes the technologies that change the world aren't the biggest or the most expensive. They're the ones that quietly keep working, year after year, until we forget how difficult life was before they existed. Remember, history isn't always written in grand monuments or famous inventions. Sometimes it's hidden inside the smallest things we carry every single day. If you enjoyed discovering the hidden story behind the SIM card, let us know which everyday object you'd like us to explore next. After all, subscribe to Secrets of Simple Things for more.